If a woman says these 5 things to you, my advice is to walk away immediately. Continuing in such a relationship despite these issues, which may sometimes be subtle and not explicitly stated, could cause you a lot of harm. Outward words and behavior aren't always spontaneous or meaningless. Often, especially in romantic and social relationships, hidden intentions and true motives lie behind certain words that the other person is trying to conceal. Therefore, if you hear these 5 phrases from a woman, it's best to walk away, because continuing in this relationship could jeopardize your future and your self-confidence. First, any statement that includes verbal abuse. Verbal abuse isn't necessarily just direct insults. It can also be indirect. How so? It might come in the form of mocking your abilities, ridiculing you, or belittling any achievement you make. It could also be through comparing you to other men and always portraying them as superior to you. While these people aren't necessarily better than you, we all have positive and negative qualities. They constantly focus on your weaknesses and ignore your strengths by comparing you to other people or men. This is especially true when they compare you to another man and say things like, "Look what he does for his wife," or "Look what he gives his girlfriend." All these comparisons, along with belittling anything you do for them, constitute a form of verbal abuse, particularly if you're truly fulfilling your obligations. If you are, that's a different matter. But if you treat her generously, and yet she continues to compare you to others, and accuse you of not giving or contributing, even though you are, then she's using the comparison as a form of pressure. She wants to drain and exploit you, so you keep giving more and more, while she doesn't offer even a fraction of the sacrifices and contributions you make. The second type of statement is any statement that carries a threatening tone. For example, she might constantly say, "I'll leave you," "I'll distance myself from you," or "I'll ask for a divorce if you're married." Or she might say, "I won't reply to your messages, I'll ignore you, or I'll block you." These threats are all a form of psychological and emotional blackmail that some women use against men, especially if their intention is to exploit and manipulate. A genuine woman who truly loves would never act this way without a real and logical reason, and without you having clearly done something wrong. But today we're talking about the situation where you're a good person and give a lot, believing that the more you give, forgive, and compromise, the more this woman will soften and stay with you. Unfortunately, this belief is very common among men, but it's completely wrong. Many think that giving more and being more lenient will prevent a woman from leaving them, but with an exploitative woman, this approach is completely ineffective. The more she threatens you, the more she blackmails you, drains your energy, and further undermines your self-confidence. She makes the relationship always conditional, as if you're not enough for her, and you constantly have to offer more and give more for her to agree to continue with you. The third sign is any statement that involves lying. She lies about big and small things, especially promises and appointments. She'll give you an appointment and then cancel it, or promise something and then back out or postpone it. This procrastination, stalling, and evasion is also a form of psychological manipulation and emotional blackmail. Exploitative women often rely on seduction through delayed promises, and this is a harmful type of lying. She might even lie to you about the smallest details. Why? Because she tries to hide the truth in details, whether big or small, because she believes that increasing ambiguity, concealing information, and lying to you gives her greater control. The fourth sign is when she makes demands in the form of commands or challenges. That is, when her requests are always accompanied by orders, conditions, or challenges. For example, if she wants something, she doesn't say, "I love this," or "I'd be happy if you did this for me," or "if you got me this." This is the polite and refined approach people usually use in their social and romantic relationships. To be clear, it's not wrong for a woman to ask. In fact, it's perfectly natural for relationships to be based on mutual giving. I'm not saying she should never ask for anything. The problem lies in how she asks. If she says things like, "If you don't get me this, I'll leave you," or "If you don't buy me this gift, I'll distance myself from you," or "I'll go with someone else," these conditional requests, accompanied by challenges and commands, are nothing more than a form of emotional and psychological blackmail. The fifth phrase is unfortunately one of the worst and most insidious, and it's not just if a woman says it. Even women watching this video, if a man says it to you, stay away from him too. Anyone who says this to you, whether man or woman, it's best to distance yourself. The phrase is, "This is who I am, and if you love me, you have to put up with me." This sentence is frequently used by narcissists, both men and women. Now, is this phrase always wrong? Not necessarily. It's true when someone tries to change our nature or personality, even though that nature doesn't harm them. We always say, be yourself, be who you are, and if someone likes you, that's fine, and if they don't, that's their problem. We shouldn't change our personalities or pretend for anyone. But when does this phrase become bad and carry a wrong meaning? When our actions become intentionally harmful to the other person. At that point, it's no longer about our personal nature, but about harming others. When we say to someone, yes, I hurt you, and that's just my nature. If you love me, you have to put up with it. We should distance ourselves from that person immediately. However, being yourself, not pretending in your appearance, clothing, or speech, and not claiming to possess qualities you don't have just to gain others' affection, is perfectly acceptable and desirable. But when behavior becomes harmful to others, one's freedom ends where another's begins. You have no right to hurt someone and then expect them to endure the harm under the guise of love. Therefore, anyone who hurts you and then says this to you should be distanced from immediately, whether they are a man or a woman.